the president is violating the rule of law, and that in fact he must give account to Nigerians on the issue of fuel subsidy savings and so on and so forth. You know the narrative. He even issued a statement.
Now, this president in 2 years, as I have maintained, has done more than all of the presidents before him in the direction of reordering our priorities, tackling some of the most acerbic challenges faced by the economy of our country. He has decided that it's not about just looking for cheap popularity, but willing to do the tough things that may momentarily seem unpopular, but are decidedly crucial to the long-term good health of our country's economy. So all of the hue and cry by members of the opposition, whether it's Rotimi Amechi or former Vice President Atiku Abubakar or former Kaduna Governor Malam El-Rufai, don't begin to cut it. The president is focused on dealing with matters that guarantee the long-term health of our country. Now, you see, what is funny is that all of these voices put together don't even begin to speak to what they think this president should be doing different from what he's doing. Not one of them has come forward with any kind of informed prescription of what the president should be doing, because they know in their hearts, outside of just politicking, that the president is doing exactly what any right-thinking president would do. They know that. This morning, just earlier, a couple of hours ago, I had an appearance this morning at 7 a.m. on Channels TV, side by side with Mr. Yunus Satanko, the Obidati, spokesperson. And a question was put to him to say, look, in all of your criticism of this president, what exactly would your principal, have done differently? He was very short in his answer. I won't go about saying what he said. But the point I'm making is that it's not enough. When I ask you, Dr. Abati, what's your name? And you tell me I'm not Felix Smoker. That is not an answer to the question. Tell me your name is Dr. Abati, that we know. Telling me you're not Felix Smoker is not an offer of information about who you are. Now, when these characters in the opposition decide that all they have to offer Nigerians as an alternative is to condemn President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his policies, and they think that that's sufficient to sway these nearly 300 million Nigerians who are smart and discerning, that this president has not done well, you see, I think they need to go back to the table and think more clearly. As far as we're concerned, this president, whether it's the 30-kilometer launch that you referenced, why not? When have we ever, as a country, embarked on a project that critical and that ambitious to build a coastal highway, round, through from Lagos all the way to Calabar? We haven't had that. We have had the Lagos Expressway, and we know, being just the single, artery of, road infrastructure that links, the southwest to the southeast, we know the pressure and the burden that has imposed on, transportation of goods and services. We have a president that is saying, look, time has come to do something drastically different, to set Nigeria straight and position this country for growth and sustainable progress. By embarking on that, even if it's 1 kilometer that was, launched, it is, again, an acknowledgement of progress. And there's nothing wrong, Dr. Abati, with acknowledging progress. Nobody is saying that the 700-kilometer road has been fully built. 30 kilometers is a step along that way. And, inch by inch, kilometer by kilometer, with time, one day, you and I, hopefully, I look forward to a day when we both go to some of those, beautiful carnivals in Calabar, and you and I, Dr. Abati, will be in a vehicle cruising down on that road to Calabar, seamlessly. I think that we must wish our country well and Absolutely. Be optimistic beyond politics and beyond this whole drama of the opposition. We must again celebrate some of these milestones that this president has enacted. All
right, thank you so much, Mr. Moka. You've used the drama of the opposition. At some point as well, you also said that the opposition has nothing more to offer beyond condemning the president, and you've said that you think they should go back to the drawing board. So my question is this the argument for state capture? Because some of the criticism that is coming is that there's state capture specifically where INEC is concerned. There are some reports that saying over 70 groups have attempted to register their political parties, and that INEC is just sitting on them, and the assumption is that this is from a directive to stifle opposition voices that are trying to register parties that can pose to be some type of opposition or, legitimate opposition to this presidency. What's your take on this conversation around state capture in the electoral institutions?
Idle speculation. Vimba, look, we can do better than this. INEC is, a statutory institution created by law, handed a clear mandate to regulate whether it's political parties or to manage our electoral process. We cannot second guess that. INEC will deal with applications for registration of political parties based on legal criteria. It's not a political process. And INEC is a statutory authority, meaning that INEC is a compellable agency. If there's anyone who has attempted to register a political party who has been unfairly denied that facility to register, and they believe that INEC has ignored clear legal standards which they have met to register their party. Look, I'm a lawyer, and a senior lawyer for that matter. If I were in that position, I would take out a writ of mandamus to compel INEC to do its job. It's not enough for people to just bandy allegations around. Somebody wants to register a political party, has not met the standards, has not met the requirements, and comes to national television or to put out a statement to say that, look, we're being denied. Nobody's been denied. If you are sat, you must prove. If you think INEC is denying you unfairly, or that INEC is pandering to some executive or whatever instruction or manipulation, you must show evidence of that. And it's not that hard to show evidence of such a thing. So it's not enough to just come to Nigeria and say, look, we're being denied, when in fact you may not have met even the simple threshold requirement that qualifies you to be registered. And you think INEC will register you because, INEC wants to be, to pander to some, sentiments or emotions. That is not how it works. It doesn't work like that in Nigeria, and it doesn't work like that anywhere else. So I think that those who make that suggestion should really go back and figure out what they're doing wrong. If they think they've met their standards, like I said, they need to, take on INEC. They should go to court and compel INEC to do its job. INEC has statutory enforceable, duties that they should perform. So I don't buy that, I don't buy that, quite frankly.
Mr. Moka, Rufai Hussaini here.
Yes. Yes, my dear.
Mr. Moka.
Rufai, how are you?
Very well. You said that the other political parties have not brought forward any, objection or any road plan of some sort or road map of their own ideas and solutions to the problem at hand. What you said is not correct. I will refer you to Punch newspaper, 29th May 2024, where Atiku Abubakar offered 6 ways to remodel Tinubu's policy. And you can check that reportage on that document, and where he pointed out his own point of view as regards the reforms, saying that they were not properly implemented, they were not properly addressed. Take, for instance, what he said in that document. Number one, he talked about the fact that we have floated the currency, but we've not had commensurate effects because the way these policies were being marshaled out, that the benefit of floating the currency was supposed to gain advantage with our local productive industry. But we are not gaining that advantage because productivity is at an all-time low. What are the ancillary things, what are the ancillary, things to add to that productive capacity to be able to make us gain the benefit of a cheap naira, as it were? Number one. Secondly, you talked about the coastal road. Coastal road that has a lot of transparency problem. A minister from the APC government sat down here just last week and affirmed to us that there was no independent competitive bidding process, that the contract was given to a company because they had worked in the past as regards a project that centered around the states where the president was governor, which is a violation of many laws of competitive bidding in the country. He said it, not my words. I also did ask for cost per kilometer of the project concluded. He said he will have to iterate the cost. But he said the first project cost they iterated was supposed to be 4 billion per kilometer, but I'm asking for the concluded cost per kilometer, which is a case of transparency issues. Leading up to that coastal road, we also talked about EIA and other sundry problems around the coastal road. The increase in electricity tariff, which my colleague Vimbai reported today, has led to people that can even afford increased tariff to go to other forms and go off the grid. So these are the multiple problems on ground. And you can also check that reportage of 29 May 2024, where Atiku Abubakar responded to all these things boldly, sir.
I take it that you're done with
Yes,
your
sir.
question.
Yes, sir.
My dear brother Rufai, May 2024, if the date you cited is correct, was just about 1 year of the president's inauguration as president of the Federal Republic. And Atiku Abubakar, quite frankly, I'm not familiar with whatever documentation or suggestions of alternatives that Atiku Abubakar made. But what I do know, and I would think what Nigerians know, is that Mr. Alhaji Abubakar, the former vice president, in his campaign for the office of president in the 2023 electoral cycle, was very clear that he would take out fuel subsidy. Rufai, there's no romantic way to remove any system of dependency of anything. If you bring your friend to live in your house for 10 years without rent-free, and you provide him breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the day you decide that you need that space and you need him out to go commercial and rent his own space, I bet you that individual, even if he doesn't tell you, will feel like you are putting him out into the cold, because he's become accustomed to living, life in your home for free. There's no way, all of these stories, told by everybody and by anybody, whether it's Atiku Abubakar or Peter Obi or, even my bosom friend, Professor Patu told me about how, President Tinubu could have, done the subsidy in a way that is, very, romantic. And look, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. It's about relative impact. What is important is that there was the need, the real self-evident need for us to tackle those problems. And I think that in fairness to even some of the opposition figures, they too were very clear that they would do the same thing. Now, this revisionist idea, what you call alternative, suggestions by Atiku Abubakar, now because, in hindsight, 1 year later, you are not the president, you campaigned to be president, you were not elected, and the man who became president is enacting policies that, clearly, are superior even to your attempt to, suggest, a policy position. You now begin to second guess and talk about maybe you should have been done 6 months later or 3 months later or done with this and that. Look, all that is neither here nor there. What we are dealing with today, and I think that the result of this president's bold strategic intervention, demonstration of political will to tackle that elephant in the room that was sitting there for decades, that no president before him had the audacity and the political will to tackle, that I think is worth celebrating, because it set this country at a fundamental level straight. It's provided opportunity for us to rise beyond all of this, quibblings and tweaking of, systems. Point is, our economy is doing better, never has been stronger. The macroeconomic evidence is there. You on this station, I watch you every day and I hear you, say them. But yes, whether we want to acknowledge them the way we should acknowledge them is a different matter. But I think everyone is clear. International institutions are also clear about this. And at the micro level, we're beginning to see, clear evidence of progress. 2 years, we're talking midterm here. We're not talking 4 years yet. 2 years on, I think that, Mr. Rufai, I think we are citizens of Nigeria. And I think we all, no matter where we talk from or where we stand, we love this country. And that's an assumption we must grant to everybody.
Okay.
This president, for example, could have said, you know what, I'm going to peg the Naira value to $1 to 1 Naira. And if I have 200 Naira in my pocket, all of a sudden I have $200. I can get on my phone and order something from Amazon or somewhere else, for a lot. But you know what? That will make him very popular.
Okay.
He has chosen to tackle the problems realistically rather than simply, take a shot at popularity like other presidents have done.
Okay, Mr. Moka, there were many things I talked about. I also talked about the lack of transparency in the coastal road. What would you say about a minister saying that a project was given to one contractor because of competence and not giving others the fairness of competitive bidding? Costing is another one that we've gone back and forth. And with due respect,
yes.
let me finish, Mr. Moka. You said the economy is good.
Sure.
At 25% inflation rate, World Bank projection of 37% inflation rate, things are bad. You said the economy is good. The economy that was handed to President Tinubu was over 200 billion. Today is less than 200, about 199 billion thereabouts. You said the economy is good. More people have jumped into poverty, have been swept into poverty. Inflation is real. And the social factors are not any better. Insecurity has had an uptick. These are also other facts on ground. So tell me, a government that didn't employ transparency, what would you have done for a bidding process for the coastal road? Would you have just given it to one person rather than calling others to at least have an open bidding. And the cost involved. These are the things we are saying. That's what a lot of people are saying.
Rufai, you see, I listened to part of your interaction with the Honorable Minister for Works, His Excellency Dave Umahi. I listened to parts of that conversation, and he gave you his explanations for that. And I'm, not being the Minister of Works, I'm not going to sit here and, again, revisit a discussion you had with him. But he gave, in my understanding of your discussion with him, his explanation for how that process was determined. And, if there are, consequential issues you want to take up with him, please do. But as a citizen and listening to your discussion with him, I don't see what was, untoward for a program of that magnitude. You have said, even on that show, you acknowledge the size and the complexity of that road. I mean, this is one superhighway that we have not done and clearly have no experience of doing in the history of our country. So, again, officials who are appointed to, do job like the minister is, saddled with, they are the ones who must make decisions, and you have a right to, come to them with, criticism or observations about what they've done or how they have not done it. That's within your remit as well, as a citizen and as a journalist. I won't, say more on that. But the point is that I don't think there's a question as to whether or not the economy today is stronger than it has ever been. Everyone, all those who should know, are saying it in very eloquent, terms. Whether it's Modi, whether it's, all of the other rating agencies, globally, the World Bank, the IMF, everybody acknowledges. And locally, we're seeing that result. Look, I think, let's not set ourselves back in conversation, looking at, framing these questions the way we are. We can say, look, we can acknowledge, we can, agree that things were really horrible and they're getting better. And that the markers look good. Yes, are we exactly where you and I would agree we need to be? I don't think, we can say yes. But we cannot decide that because there are challenges in the system, who said these problems were not created in 2 years? They have been with us for years. So when you want to eradicate poverty like Amechi and his, friends, were saying the other day at Amechi's, former governor of River State's birthday celebration, that the president was weaponizing poverty. That's just absurd. Like I said in my statement, 25 years almost, they didn't, eradicate poverty. And so I think it's unfair to expect this president in 2 years, in midterm, to, eradicate poverty. That's really unconscionable to suggest.
Felix Maka, we need to go.
Did you listen to that? That is Felix Monka, right? APC National Secretary. Whenever you see this man, Felix Monka, with this uniform, I don't know whether or not the same thing, but whenever you see him with this black and white, you know, say he's about to lie. Do you understand? And now he's a liar. He's always lie. His name's supposed to be changed to Mr. Liars or Mr. Linus. Or that's who he is. See, you can't praise this government without looking like a fool, according to Kenneth Okonkwo. You can't praise this government without looking like a fool. The more you praise them, the more you become a fool. You become a fool, foolish in yourself. Now, you listen to the questions, especially the question Rufai asked him. They didn't answer those questions. They have a way of dribbling those questions. They will never get to the root or answer those questions the way you expected. Though they will answer the question the way that pleases them, not the way that pleases Nigeria. Do you understand? Now, he said, all the oppositions has been criticizing. They are known for criticism. They never offer any solutions, any solution different from what Tinubu is doing. That if you have any idea what it is, what Tinubu can do to move the country forward, that they should come and tell Tinubu what to do. They are always to criticize. They are always to criticize, to condemn government. Now, Rufai told you that he quotes even the date for you. I can still remember. Article said what he said, but you guys did not implement those things. Now, you not said because it was last year, it was Tinubu was just 1 year in office. Then when Article make those solutions, even Peter Obi said the same. Peter Obi said quite a lot. But you say it was 1 year. Because it was 1 year, you guys refused to implement those things, hoping that what Tinubu were doing was right and it was going to work for Nigerians. Isn't it? But why are you saying nobody has ever offered solutions to the problem? No. You see, let me tell you, the only thing they will keep saying, telling you that all of them, they have the same thing. They said they were going to do the same thing. They were going to remove subsidy at that time during campaign. Nobody said they were not going to remove subsidy. Yet they all campaigned based on removal of policy subsidy. They were going to remove subsidy. What do you do with the subsidy removal? That's what matters. Okay, you know that Tinubu knew that removing subsidy was the solution to the problem of this country. Why were you against Jonathan at that time? You used everything you had at that time to fight Jonathan. You fought Jonathan to the extent that they bring back Yeah, they brought back the subsidy. They said, okay, that's what we continue to suffer at that time. Now, you remove the subsidy. The World Bank said, according to what they said last year, that Nigeria is going to take Nigeria 15 good years to survive this reform before we could see the effect of this reform. So Nigerians are going to suffer for a good 15 years. So if you have allowed Jonathan to remove subsidy at that time, do whatever he had in place. He has planning. That's why he set up a lot of programs then after removing subsidy, because he knew it was going to be a problem. He first of all set up some programs to ameliorate the effect of subsidy removal, to cushion the effect, right? But now, you just came first time in office, you are not even stepped into Aso Rock, you said subsidy gone. You don't even know what was in place, what we're going to do, no idea, nothing. Subsidy gone. Now, you start running here and there, start running a task scatter. So what do? Nothing. That's the problem. So it's not as if they said they were going to remove subsidy was a problem. What did you do with the subsidy? Where is the money? What's the money from subsidy removal? You saved a lot. But now we depend on borrowing. We have borrowed money upon we removed subsidy removal, we make more money. We saved a lot of money. Now we borrowed money. This administration is the worst administration, the one that borrowed. He borrowed money more than Tinubu's 8 years in office. Yes, he borrowed. We're about how many billions then? But now we are over 100 or something trillion debt. So how are you going to pay that? How are you going to pay that? So the thing is, Tinubu, Buhari, Atiku made those solutions, but it was not implemented because they don't know. A lot of people say, you know, why I know that Tinubu's government has failed already. Anybody talking about hoping that Tinubu is going to do anything, this is a waste of time. When he said insecurity, and then when he went to Chatham, I was been saying all of this because it's a failure. Now look at all of them. They have come in to defend the indefensible. Look at the coastal road they said they are building. That was not what Nigeria need. If you have put that money, that budget, put it into our economy today, Nigeria will actually could see the effect. Amaechi is accusing you. Where is the money of subsidy removal? Trillions of naira. But we ended up borrowing more money. The next thing they will tell you that the state are now receiving more allocation to do for what? What would that do? The state preferred to the era of Buhari, where the rate of dollars at that time. Then give them those allocation they were collecting and let the dollars be the same rate, or probably reduce the dollars for them. It could have been better. You pay them more money. It's not even enough to do what they were doing at that time with the little allocation they were getting. It's not just to increase the allocation. What do? It's not enough. Do you understand? A lot of things. Talk about coastal road. That was not what we needed. And it's not going to. They are not going to complete it. Even if you give them 8 years, they are not going to complete it. They are not. So where is he doing well here? So all of them, they are just like that. You know, this talk here and there, 2 years is gone with this complete. The next 2 years we go with this complete, nothing. There will be nothing, because you can say now it's full of lies. Full of lies. All of the offer is different solutions. Do this. So now we are talking about giving them more allocations. Now the dollar is still going up. I think the dollars today is still about 1,600 plus. Pounds is 2,140 plus, isn't it? So now the food and services is continue to go up. Now you said the things are getting better. That one annoys me when I hear somebody say things are getting better. What is things are getting better? When we were number one, when Tinubu took over, the GDP of this country were number one. In terms of GDP, we're number one, followed by South Africa. Now we are number 4. We are number 4. Since Tinubu took over, everything just down. Everything dropped down. Now, for you to say we are doing well, we're number 4. When Tinubu took over, we are still in number 4. We are dragging with Morocco, this small country. If care is not taking, they will overtake us again. Right? If care is not taking. So if you now say we are doing well, okay, now the GDP is rising, we are now in number 3 position, or we are now in number 2nd position, to say we are not competing with South Africa. But yet, we are still far from where we were when Tinubu took over. So where is he doing well there? Where is he doing well? Go check all the employment rate now. Employment rate. Go check the percentage. After school children, check the percentage. And here, when they say commitment, Tinubu visit how many states, how many trips, 36 states, he secure $50 billion commitment. Commitment to do what? Everybody can say they are committed to doing things and change their minds later. Commitment to do what? We want to see the physical thing you have done with the commitment. What is it? Nothing. Anyways, what do you think? Please share this video. And please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Be your guy. Run out for me now.